All right, this is a quick video to show you how to take square roots. Now, it depends on what kinds of numbers you have. You can have perfect squares. These are numbers that give you whole numbers once you take their square roots. These are numbers like 4, 9, 16, 25, numbers like that. But often you have numbers that are not perfect squares, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. So if you have perfect squares, you can take their square roots and get whole numbers. For example, if I take the square root of 4, I would get 2. And if I took the square root of 9, I would get 3. And this is because I have to multiply 3 by itself to get to 9. 3 times 3 equals 9, right? And I have to multiply 2 by itself to get back to 4, because 2 times 2 equals 4. But what do you do if the whole number that you're trying to take the square root of is not a perfect square? Let's try square root of 8. Well, square root of 8, if you try to do it in a calculator, you're going to get a decimal that doesn't make any sense. But what you can do is you can actually break up this number to see if you can find perfect squares within the number. So for example, if you're taking the square root of 8, you can break up 8 into 4 times 2. 4 times 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to underline the 4 in red because that is my perfect square. So what am I going to do with the 4? Well, if you remember, the square root of 4 is 2. So I can take the 4 out of the radical sign as a 2. So what happens is the 4 comes out as a 2, and then the 2 that's already left in there has to stay inside there. So I'm going to keep my radical sign, and I'm going to keep a 2 under there. So the 4 comes out as a 2, and then the 2 that's already under there, I can't take the square root of 2, so I have to leave it under the radical. Let's try another one like that. Let's do square root of 50. What's the biggest perfect square that will divide 50? The biggest perfect square that will divide 50. Well, I can break up 50 into 2 times 25. 2 times 25. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to underline the 25 in red because that is my perfect square. Notice you can take the square root of 25. And when you do that, you're going to get 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 25 out as a 5, and I'm going to leave the 2 under there. And I'm done. My answer is 5 square root of 2. You can also say that as 5 times the square root of 2, because that's basically what that is. Okay, let's try one more like that. Let's do square root of 200. Square root of 200, a big number. Now, I can't take the square root of 200 as it is, but I can break up 200 into 2 numbers where one of them is a perfect square and the other one isn't. So what's the biggest number that I can divide 200 by that just happens to be a perfect square? It would be 100, right? So I'm going to break up the 200 into 100 times 2. 100 times 2. We know that the square root of 100 is 10, so I'm going to take the 100 out as a 10 and leave the 2 under there. And then I'm done. My answer is 10 times the square root of 2. So that's how you take the square root of numbers which are not perfect squares rather than getting decimals. And I hope that makes a lot of sense.